Hi everyone. Today is Friday, June the 21st. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. It is quadruple witching expiry. We've got all classes of options expiring today, and there is usually a fair bit of volatility. On top of that, for the first time in a really long time, my Twitter feed, my X feed, is just exploding with doom scrolling of all kinds of terrible things that are showing up. So what I would say is today has a feel like it's going to be a down day. So let's take a look at what might stop that. First of all, if we start with SPY and we take a look at this 543 number, we can see old resistance, new support. The current candlesticks tell us we've got a high and a low, and a lower high and a lower low in formation. Now, well below our anchored VWAP, so we could revert to the mean and still explode to the north. This is my thought. My thought is we have a garden variety fade, potentially into, maybe even into 530, but we should bounce from the space, and I have no idea how long that might take. On the flip side, if we hold 543, back up to 548, and take a look at this. I haven't done a video since Tuesday, right? Because Wednesday we were off, Thursday I was outside of the office at meetings, and look at what happened yesterday. It came right up to that 551 area and just collapsed. So I believe my drawings are correct. And so we're going to find buyers. So, oh, well, there they come, right? I don't know what reports we have coming out. It's 8 o'clock right now. You might have something coming at 8:30. I have not looked at that, but what I do see is the following. Old resistance, new support. They are going to try and buy this 543. If they cannot do it, and we lose this 543.50, well, we've got the move down to 541 and 539. My thought is, if you want to play with a little bit of fire, you could buy a very wide strangle somewhere around the middle of the day after theta erosion hits. Or you could wait for one edge and then buy the other edge. So in the morning here, if it fades down, you could buy a put and a call. And if it goes up here, you could buy a put and a call, and then they average out, right? To one side or the other winning. I think today is going to be very explosive. If you are trading futures on Top Step, particularly where you've got very clear parameters in your XFA, I don't even know why I have so much trouble saying that. You really want to use your practice account today. Don't mess around in your XFA. Mess around in a combine, or even better, a practice account. All right, so here we are. Qs. What do we have? Almost right up to the midpoint. Again, I believe my drawings are spot on, and they're coming into these ranges. So what are we looking for currently? I'm going to slide this one up just a hair. So we're looking at 479.30. That's the floor so far. If we hold the floor, we're going to bounce. And so buyers are going to try and come in here and test this 479.30. If we bounce, but we cannot get up over the close of the prior day, which looks like the problem, 482 and some change, we're going to have more downside action, right? Could be mean reversion, could be sloppy sideways, but I suspect we have wicks coming today. I really, really do. So be very careful. Watch your edges, put an alert there, and you'll be in good shape. Everything's bullish, except, remember, when we have bullish motion and we stop making new highs, like in here, and we start breaking support, we are headed to lower edges of congestion. And notice this wick, it comes all the way down to the breakout action here at 443, right? So this is the warning signal. When you've got upward trends and you stop making new highs and then you start breaking the lows, you've got some mean reversion. And that is what is happening here. So watch your levels. 474, likely to be the bottom of the edge here, but we could easily slip to the moving average at 472. That looks like almost the halfway spot of this drawing as well. So watch that 472 for a baseline fade. Notice below 479, probably going to accelerate down, but options are going to be very expensive today. All right, I think we're probably still in roll. 55.35. That looks like about right. Yes. So notice my drawings. Acceleration to the upside stops just shy, right? So the buyers couldn't even take it to the top of the measured move. They stopped about 10 points below it. That's pretty important because 56 is a round number, and this 55.97 is sitting at that floor. Now notice what we've got here. Look at the pinned and anchored VWAPs from the highest high and the lowest low colliding right here in this fade action. What is my thought out of this? I think some buyers come in here at the 55.21 to maybe 55.12. Pretty important. Here's the rub. Buyers are going to try to come in if they cannot get above the close of the prior day at around that 55.44. There's more downside on the horizon. So be very careful thinking that, hey, this is going to be a runaway train to the upside. It's all going to matter in terms of this 55.44 and, of course, how we hold the lows of the pre-market for the last 2 days. Ton of volume because this is the new contract, relatively speaking. So we could also anchor a VWAP right here, but we want to see what goes on. This is going to be a strong area of bullish action. So, could be a place to get chopped up like no tomorrow. Taking a look at the NQs, same thing. Only we're below this area for the anchored VWAPs, and we're right at the bottom. Isn't that interesting? Old resistance, new support. Remember, I haven't touched these charts since Tuesday, since our last recording, and you can go back and look at that. These drawings are good, they're solid, they're reinforcing themselves, and so the traders, what are they trying to do? 19,959, trying to hold it. If they break that number and they bounce, but they cannot get up over the close of yesterday, that 20,053 area, this is going to give us more downside pressure. That downside pressure could come all the way to the midpoint of this candlestick formation over here, and that gives us 19,675. Yes, we have positive momentum and positive trend, but this is the rub. If we're not closing higher and we begin to close and or test lower, we are in a very likely reversion to the mean or sideways formations. I believe yesterday the Dow was the only one that was up. Is that right? I need a break from the markets. I'm fried. Yes. Here it is. Very, very interesting. Over my level, but look at where it comes into, just shy of. Everybody just shy of this number right here. The higher measures on the pre-market, these guys were in a dreadful space. Everybody was seeing the buy the dip formation. Look at the gaps. Golly, this chart is a train wreck. I do not think it moves up. I think it moves down with the rest of the market. This is a relief bounce formation, and likely a lot of people short the YM and now moving up here, but the dollar is exploding. It's at a resistance zone, however, so that could help the charts hold a floor. But in any case, 39,601 is a breakaway line for the YM. Notice it's battling over the close of the prior day, but below it. 39,005, woo, what is that, 564? And we are at 546. So inside value, that tells us that we could have ourselves a choppy space. Pullbacks, going to be buy zones, right? What is the trend? Down to flat. What is momentum? Down to flat. Getting some pressure to the upside. So the deep dips, we're going to find buyers. I wouldn't be surprised if 39,313 comes into play, and then we've got this gigantic gap action. Let me hide the indicators for a quick sec. Look at this. gap action right here is monstrous. So what if we use that line, 39,273, all the way back down to 39,070? All right? Yeah, gonna be an interesting day today, folks. I am going to be largely hands-off. Lot of oil stories really taking the freight. Now listen, this was a big area. Shorted here, really good. Shorting here didn't give me anything past 79.78. That's going to be the order of the day. This one has expired, so it should disappear. So now we have to see, are we heading higher? No. Are we headed lower? No. So what's happening? This is a flag, and flags normally break in the direction of the pole. So what I would look at is saying, hey, 81.55 all the way to maybe 83.70. You know, Ukraine apparently took responsibility for bombing some things in oil, in the oil fields for Russia. So somebody's poking the bear, right? That is crazy. So look at what's happening with gold. Another thing, fade, fade, fade. All of a sudden it's bouncing again. Could be bouncing because the dollar is at resistance. 23.50, a big line. If it holds this 23.50 area, it's going to go to 23.82. Here's the thing. If you go, all right, well, maybe I'll buy that. You could buy it, but you'd also have yourself a 20-point stop, right? That's 200 ticks of risk, which is very, very scary. So I would say wait for the pullback to buy these formations. Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say if it can come into 23, 24, should be a beautiful buy. If it only pulls back into 23.34 or 23.40, maybe you can do that. It is walking up this wall of worry all the way up to 23.82, so that's where I think it ought to be going. All right, everyone, take care. Stay frosty. It is OPEX, and it is going to be a big OPEX. All right? Take it easy.